And we are live. Hey, what's up, Warriors? Anthony Chancemuth here from Simple Creative Marketing. And today I'm going to talk through how to craft a compelling case study. And I'm going to share with you my framework that we use at SCM to write case studies for our clients. All right. And so the reason I'm talking about this is because not all case studies are created equal, right? So I'm sure you've read a bunch. You may have come across some on people's websites, on their blogs, whatever it may be. And some are really compelling and some aren't. So what makes a difference, right? So let's walk through, first of all, what really makes a compelling case study. For me, it comes down to how the case study is structured, okay? And it really, when, we've experimented with this over the last few years to look at, what are the different ways we can actually share customer success? How do we share our customer wins, through working with different clients, and some share testimonials, some share long form case studies. And I've written a whole blog post about the difference between which is better, testimonials or case studies. Let me know what you think. What do you think is better, a testimonial or a case study, especially in terms of helping to convert potential leads and sales for your business? All right. Drop that in the comments if you're watching this live, but I definitely want to hear from you what your thoughts are around that. Now, again, we want to talk about the framework, and the best way to share a framework with you is to actually share a example of a case study that I recently did for Bean Ninjas. So let me just bring that up. Okay, here we go. So let me tell you the story of how this all came to be. So Bean Ninjas is a online bookkeeping service and financial advisory service for six-figure plus e-commerce sellers. All right, and also they also work with agencies and digital businesses. And essentially, I had an opportunity to interview Jesse Hanley, who is the founder of a company called Bento, which is one of the clients working with Bean Ninjas. All right, and it was a really interesting exercise because it involved a lot of different elements. And what I'm going to share with you is just a quick snapshot. Let me just bring that up here of what we did. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see my screen here. Great. So you can see here is the case study, and straight away I want you to pay attention to what grabs you. All right. So the first thing you're going to see is either the image or the headline. All right, and the headline reads, "Reducing Bento's bookkeeping time to 5 minutes per month." Now, if you've ever tried to do bookkeeping yourself for your small business, you probably know it usually takes a lot more time than that, right? So, especially if you're not, someone who's great with numbers, or you just don't love Xero or whatever tool you're using. And, for me, I know if I jump into my bookkeeping accounting software, it can really do my head in, to be honest. And it can take me a lot of time to work out all the things and to look at the reports and all these sort of things and trying to get my head around understanding it. Thankfully, I've been working with Bean Ninjas for the last few years. And so I've, had the luxury, I suppose, of educating myself through all the content that we've been producing for the Bean Ninjas clients and community. And, here's a really just back to the case study here. We wanted to really capture and present a story of how Bean Ninjas was able to support Bento in growing their business, right? And one of the compelling benefit that came from the interview I did with Jesse was that it really was about how much time that was saved from him having to go through and do his books. Okay, so now he's literally doing he's only looking at his Xero accounts around 5 minutes a month. Okay, and that could be a bit longer, but we went from hours down to minutes. So do you think that's compelling? All right, so you start off with a headline which speaks to the specific challenge that most of your ideal buyers or ideal prospects are facing, okay? Or your clients, right? Your clients come for you for a reason, a problem that you solve. So you want to sort of nail that and get down to, this is the thing that we really do for our clients, okay? And it could be, you increase revenue, increase profit, save time, you give them more other types of benefits, right? So only you will know what that is based on your interactions with your clients and the value that you bring to your clients, right? So we start off with that really punchy headline, and we get into the story. Nice picture of Jesse here chilling, and we get into information about the company, the challenge. So I'm going to walk through this framework with you in a moment, but you can see, we talk about what the specific challenges Jesse had when he came to Be Ninjas, or before he signed up with Be Ninjas, before he used the service, the solution, and from the perspective of what were the actual steps taken by Be Ninjas to resolve the challenges, all right? And then the results, okay? What was the final outcome, which was in the headline anyway, but here we're expanding on specific comments that the client made, and things that were particularly meaningful for that particular client, right? And then we even have a screenshot here of the client referring Be Ninjas out on social media to his own community network, right? And then we end up with a call to action, which is definitely something you want to do at the end of a case study. So let's now flip over to the framework. You've seen sort of the example, and that, let me just fill you in on something. That particular case study resulted in a new client coming to Be Ninjas, because what happened was we shared that case study out through the Be Ninjas Twitter account. We tagged the client, so Jesse and Bento. He retweeted it to his own followers, and immediately, like within 5 minutes, someone in his one of his followers and people in his network said, "Hey," they read the case study and they said, "Hey, I need this too," and they ended up booking a call with Be Ninjas and ended up becoming a client within the next few days. So that's how powerful a compelling case study can be, and I wanted to share that with you because that's definitely a win for the work that we do with developing case studies for our clients, right? So now let's flip over to the framework. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to bring up the framework that I've been putting together. And now I want to just make sure that you can see that. Okay, so here we go. So I'm calling this, it's a 7 Ps framework for crafting a compelling case study. So let me walk you through it, right? Step one, or the first P, is to have a punchy headline, all right? And like I mentioned with the Bento case study, you really want to grab people's attention with a metric-driven result. And it's important that we have a metric in here, because where I see a lot of case studies fall flat is it's really vague, and it's something like, we helped the client, or the client was happy and the client was successful. But what does that actually mean? It really doesn't mean much unless you can get very specific and granular about what success looked like for the client, right? And I know certainly in working with health and wellness with coaches in that space, sometimes it is about the feeling, and sometimes it is about a transformation in the mindset and these sort of things. And I actually had a conversation with a coach, a health and wellness coach, in a Facebook group recently, literally a few days ago, about this. And I said, because she was saying she was launching a membership site, and she had a few people already in her community, but she was struggling to get people to convert on her landing page. And I had a look at the landing page, and my number one feedback to her was, it's not very clear what specific result is that you produce for your clients. Like, it's not clear. You've got a few things that you say that you do, but it's not, the promise is not obvious to me. It's you want to make it, when someone reads your website or your marketing, like, it just straight away, I know what the benefit is to me, my business, and my life, right? If I'm not able to get that from your headline, there's a problem, okay? And then, so a case study, think of a case study as a way to demonstrate that you can actually deliver on the promise, right? So punchy headline that's tied to a metric, specific result that's produced for the client. Again, with the Bento case study, we started the headline with reducing Bento's bookkeeping time to 5 minutes per month. So it's very clear what the benefit was. Okay, and then the second thing we want to do is to the second P here is to profile customer. All right, so we want to actually highlight the client, and this is where we kind of give them their flowers, but also their 5 seconds of fame, if you will. We highlight the client, and importantly, we want to highlight the category that the client is in. So if you are in B2B, and live in the B2B space, then you want to highlight what types of businesses you support. Do you support agencies like we do at SEM? Do you support professional services like we do at SEM, right? So you would have, this particular client, the client's name is this type of business, and this is what they do, and this is who they serve. So what you're doing is you're giving them a bit of a profile. So someone reading that who can identify with that particular client will go, hey, you've worked with a business like mine, so therefore I can, and I would like to work with you too, right? It's showing, not just telling, right? And this is an important thing about authentic influence and influence, in an authentic way, is you want to demonstrate results and show people who you work with. Okay, if you're not out there and you work with everyone, and this is a problem with businesses and people who, the message is, hey, I work with anyone who wants to give me money, I'll work with you, right? But that doesn't work. It actually works against you. What you want to do is get very specific and say, hey, this is who I work with. Draw a line in the sand and say, look, I work with X, Y, and Z. If you work with, multiples, that's fine, but get clear on who your primary is and get clear on who you're targeting the case study towards, right? So I'm working with a couple of clients right now and developing case studies for them. And one question I asked both of those clients was, straight away, right, who do you want to write this case study for? Right? Who are you trying to bring into your business? What types of clients are you trying to attract? Okay, so let's kind of reverse engineer. Start off with that, right? And what problems do you solve for that client? Who's your avatar? And then let's find the client that you already worked with and that have already produced a result for to do a case study on. Okay, so profile the customer, highlight the client type and the category. Okay, this is super important. Let's move over to number 3. The third P is problem statement. Here is where you saw it in the example. We basically show challenge, right? The subheading or the heading subtitle was challenge, or you can have problem, and you basically get clear on the challenges and the context of the problem. What was happening for the client before they hired you? What were their considerations if they were researching you and 3 other vendors? Okay, what was going through their mind? What was it that they were looking for? Okay, this is where you're painting the before picture. Okay, I like to use the example of personal trainers, and they're showing their before and after client photos, on their Instagrams, and you can see before, they worked with the client was overweight, etc., whatever the challenges were, and then you can see the after snapshot, and you can see how they've evolved and the body has transformed and these sort of things. Now you can do a similar thing here with, with your business, right? So when your client comes to you, you can take a snapshot of where they were at that point in time, and then where they are after the transformation, after the work you've done to help them improve a result. All right, and if you're a digital marketer or you're an agency, quick tip here, you can do snapshots of, go back through Google Analytics to right before they hired you, right? Get a snapshot. Okay, what was the traffic looking like? What was, maybe the sales at that point in time? What was that looking like? And then you can do an after snapshot. We'll get to that in a moment. But problem statement is P number 3. Number 4 is the process. Okay, and this is where you, as the business, you're going to share the steps you took to solve the problem in detail. Okay, so show that you're the expert. Okay, and a question I get asked here commonly is, how much should I give away, If I don't want to give away the farm, should I do that? Whatever, my intellectual property, my IP, should I protect all those things? I don't want anyone stealing my stuff, right? I get all the concerns. At the same time, if you don't give enough information in the process stage of your case study, all right, then it becomes like a mystery. It's like, oh, well, someone reading the case study goes, okay, you created the result, but I have no idea how you created that result, right? What were the steps you took? And do I have to pay you money to find out those steps, right? That's becomes a block for a lot of people, okay? So if you can do, break it down into, here were the 3, 4, 5, whatever steps that we went through to help the client achieve the outcome, all right? And you can be liberal with that. You can sort of just don't completely avoid it. That's what I'm saying, right? You want to give an idea. And the main thing is, if you can paint the picture of the level of work required to get the result, the person reading that's going, man, like, I could try and do it on my own, but I've already, I'm already here at this situation. I'm in this point in time where it hasn't obviously hasn't worked for me. And I've tried those things and I just need someone to do it for me, or I just need to work with a coach or a mentor or someone to help me through those steps. Right. And so in most cases, you're more likely to have, 80 or 90% of people just say, look, I'll pay you money and I'll just hire you to do it for me, rather than them go away and do it themselves. You might have that 10% that will, sure, they'll go away. They don't have the funds right now or whatever it may be. That's fine, right? But if they go away and do the steps and it works for them, then they're going to credit you anyway, right? So that's a good thing. Okay. So that's the process. P number 4. The 5th P is payoff. And this is where, we talk about what was the end result. Okay. Now we shared the punchy headline at the beginning, all right, which is, gives people an idea of what the end result was. But here we're going to elaborate. We're going to actually use the client's words, because we interview the client. We then elicit from them, statements from them around, what was the benefit of that outcome, right? So you got this win. How did that help you? How did it help your business? How did it help you on a personal level? How did it help you emotionally? Okay. And so if you can bring out those emotional benefits, this is the gold, right? This is the gold. Okay. Because someone reading that can go, oh my gosh, like I'm struggling with these things. And that's what I want, right? To give you another example, I did a case study interview for another client named Andy, and basically I interviewed one of his clients. He has a program that he takes his clients on, and they end up going on. They go overseas, I think the French Alps and really cool places in New Zealand and whatnot. But his program basically helps someone who's kind of stuck in their role as the business owner, super busy, to really free up time and to become location independent and have the business become remote. All right. Now, when I interviewed his client, one thing that came out was that by following and completing Andy's program, they were able to then put together a system and train their VA to take over some of the admin work. And this was admin work that they were doing on the weekends. So they were doing it every Sunday or whatever it may be for half a day, 4 hours, 3 hours, whatever. And that was taking time away from their kids. So this person, one thing they said to me in the interview was, I said, what's the benefit of the program? And the first answer was, oh yeah, you gave me a system. I'm like, great, so what, right? And then they said, well, really what it meant was I could actually go and get my Sundays back with my kid, and that's super valuable and really important to me as a mother, right? And that's huge, right? So can you see? There's the benefit, but then there's the real the emotional benefit that comes from that as well, the impact to the life and to the person, right? So that's the payoff. You want to focus in on those things. Okay, so 5th P is payoff. The 6th P is praise, and here is where we get the client testimonial. We actually get them to say, okay, well, if you were, and I learned this question from one of my mentors, a guy by the name of Dan Norris, who just released his 6th book called Compound Marketing. You definitely want to check that out if you haven't read that, if you're not aware of it. Anyway, Dan has this amazing question where he says, okay, if you're going to get a testimonial from someone, ask them this question, right? So if you were sitting in a pub with a mate and you wanted to let them know, tell them about your experience with me and my business and what we've done for you, what would you say? Okay, so this is a really simple question, but the way it's framed is quite powerful, and I'll tell you why. Because what you want your clients to say, you want them to say it in their own words, and you don't want them to say it with all this jargon and crap. Like it's if you go onto LinkedIn and you look at people's recommendations, a lot of it is just, I don't know, best way to put it is devoid of emotion. A lot of it's just like, oh, they were great, blah, blah, very professional language and stuff. And it just doesn't make you go, that makes me feel good or it makes me feel excited, right? But when someone just says, this is what they did, this is how this person helped me or this company helped me, this was the result, and in their own words, and if they were like they were saying it to a mate at a pub, or at a barbecue, that's going to be much more compelling in terms of a testimonial, in terms of praise. So that's number 6. And then number 7, final P, is we want to propose our next step. Okay, and this is what I call a call to action, right? So what's the next logical step for someone reading the case study? So they're reading the whole thing and going, this is really awesome. I love the result that was produced. I love the process. Okay, what's next, right? Do you invite them to book a call? Do you invite them to go download your guide on, that particular problem that you solved, or whatever it may be? Just make sure you incorporate that in your case study. So that's the 7 P's. Let's go through them again. Number 1, punchy headline. 2, profile customer. Number 3, problem statement. 4, process. 5, payoff. 6, praise. 7, propose your next step. That's the 7 P's. The framework for crafting a compelling case study. I'm Anthony Chancellor from Simple Creative Marketing. And if you have any questions at all, let me know. And let me know what you think of the framework. And I'd love to see you go out there and put that in and apply that to what you're doing. Okay, so that's what it's all about. I'm getting a nice feedback here from saying very human-centered, real and practical. I love it. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you again on the next podcast. Now, tomorrow, I've got an interview with my good friend and amazing graphic designer, Colleen Keefe. So if you want to learn about why you should have, what you can do to make sure your website is engaging and keeping people on your site longer, please tune in for that. Check out my Facebook page to get all the updates. I'll see you real soon.